Hi there, and welcome to the very first episode of Messy Beginnings. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us. This podcast is for the stories we tend to hide or hesitate to share. The rough starts, the detours, the moments when life got real before it got better. My hope is that by hearing how others found their way through, you'll feel more connected, more hopeful, and ready to grow through what you go through. Together, we're building a community rooted in support and empathy. My first guest is Atiba and Suzannah. He's an entrepreneur, community builder, athlete, author, and leadership coach, and he brings so much heart to everything he does. In this conversation, Atiba opens up about the kind of messy beginnings that can shake life to its core. Moving from Trinidad to the U.S. at 9 years old with a younger sister and a single mom, facing bullying, missing out on the NFL, grappling with suicidal thoughts, and years later confronting depression. What makes Atiba's story powerful isn't just what he survived, it's how he transformed it and what he tapped into to do that. He shares a pivotal moment that changed his life's trajectory when he made a deal with himself to help one person before ending his life, and ended up saving someone else's instead. From that day forward, he has come to realize, live by, and articulate an intrinsic belief. Failure isn't failure, it's fuel. As long as you're still alive, you have the opportunity to use that life to grow forward and help others. This episode is about resilience, purpose, and remembering that even in our darkest seasons, we can still become something beautiful. A quick note before we begin. Parts of the story touch on trauma, including bullying and suicide. Please take care as you listen and skip ahead if you need to. If you or someone you know needs support, you can reach out to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, stopbullying.gov, or the Trevor Project for help and resources. All right, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's dive into the messy beginnings that shape who we are and who we are becoming.
So Suzannah and I are here and we're recording the first episode of Messy Beginnings. And Messy Beginnings is a show, honestly, all about the fact that none of us start perfect. And the fact that we think that we do, or we look at other people and we see where they are right now and we think that their beginning was perfect and we try to compare ourselves, is really the thing that keeps us from achieving what we're supposed to be achieving. You see, our messy beginnings are just that, ours, and everybody has them. But it's that messy beginning, that drudgery that you go through, those moments of angst, those moments of pain and failure that actually build you into the person that can achieve the greatness that you know is inside of you. And so we have to embrace our messy beginnings. We have to love the fact that the beginning is messy and say, this is part of the process. I'm ready to go through it. And so thank you, Suzannah, for bringing this to us and highlighting so beautifully that we all must go through messy beginnings.
Thank you, Atiba. That's an awesome entry into the first recording of the series, this community. My wish is that people feel more connected, empowered, hopeful, and brave enough to learn how to share their own messy beginnings. And that's why we're here to talk, to talk to folks, to learn from different people like yourself about what one of your messiest beginnings was. But before we go into that, I want the audience, I know Ed did that great video session with you back in March where you talk about your background, Ed Parco. It's called Inner Edison. But if you could tell this audience a bit about who little Atiba was and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks. And first, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to say this for the audience because I know this is the first episode. You should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you.
For getting here and doing this. Way to go.
Thank
Way
you.
to go.
I'll be brave and share that I'm nervous. And I've put a lot of time behind putting the website together, figuring out the software. But it honestly, Atiba, you are the perfect choice to be the first person on here. Meeting Atiba, we are part of a great group called Fractionals United for people who have led teams and are fractionals in the work that they do. And Atiba had an in-person meeting, and I went to that. And if you watch him on this podcast or meet him in person, there's an energy he brings that is very empowering. I can understand why you're a highly demanded keynote speaker, and lots of leaders look to you for guidance. One of the things we're going to talk about today for leaders is this book, The Delegation Trap. Atiba just released. It's awesome. Every leader needs it, but I'm going to refocus here and get back to hearing about Atiba's story from when he was little and how he got to where he is today.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. It's truly, truly those words. And growing up was interesting for me. So number one, I'm originally from the Caribbean. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I was born, was raised there, and came to the U.S. at honestly probably one of the worst ages to come to a new country, and that was at 9 years old. Okay,
In middle school, because I think middle school is the worst age.
worst age in general, but to leave and come 9 was really, really bad for me. Now,
Yeah.
I'm biased because I came at 9. Okay. So there's no scientific data behind any of this, right? This is just study of one, me, anecdotal. But it was because at 9 years old, most of us are in a place where we're not really sure how we fit into the society that we live in. We've been living in it for a little while. We're just starting to even get a little bit of understanding of what's going on, but not a lot. And we're just really trying to catch our feet and realizing that we even need to catch our feet in this society, right? And so to be uprooted at that point and brought to the US and then planted in a place that's completely different, that existed completely differently than what I was used to, I was just lost. I was flat out lost. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about messy beginnings. Look, let's talk about that. In elementary school in Trinidad, at recess would go and try to play soccer with the boys. And I was always fast and I was always tall. And so I look like I should be a great asset to the team.
Yeah.
And they learned very quickly I wasn't. And so where all the boys went and played soccer at recess and they would pick teams, I was the last kid to get picked if I got picked. And most days I didn't get picked.
And just to pause there for a moment, as a kid who was teased and bullied and always picked as one of the last, I am not an athlete. I'm just curious, knowing that feeling from my own childhood, what's your memory of how you felt when that was happening?
It was awful. And it was awful because I come from a family of soccer players. I come from a family that had multiple people make the Trinidadian national team.
Wow.
Right. And so, yeah, it's awful.
It was like triply
Okay.
awful. Yeah.
And so the majority, and I'm just throwing numbers now because obviously I was a kid back then, so I don't remember exactly. 70% of the boys went and played soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had another 10 to 15% or so of the boys that played basketball. And I just, for the life of me, could not figure out basketball back then. Okay. And so basketball wasn't it. And so then I started playing marbles with the other 5 or 6% of the boys that were left. Okay. Um, and so that was what life was like socially at home in Trinidad. And then classroom wise, I always stood out in class. In Trinidad, the one thing you could be whatever you were at recess. The one thing you could not be in Trinidad was a dummy in the classroom. Like you were in Trinidadian schools, if you were number one, number two, or number three in the class, you were praised. Everyone else was scolded. Okay. And so that's what I knew. And I was always number one, number two, or number three, period. Right. So that was my life there. Then to come here and being the top of the class is not praised when you're in elementary school. Nobody cares. Right. When a teacher asks a question, no one raises their hands. Like
Yeah.
that's weird. But that's all I knew. When a teacher gave a test at home, the teacher at the beginning of class would come up and literally read off the grades of the top 3 kids in the class. That doesn't happen here. Right. And so it was just this absolute culture shock. Absolute culture shock. Speaking again of kids being bullied, you know, those stories of kids who got shoved in lockers? Yeah, that was me. I actually did. Right? Because I was the foreigner. I came here in the middle of the semester into a classroom and everyone looked around like, who's this kid? And we don't like him.
Wow. So you didn't even you didn't even come when it was summer and then you were starting with the new class. Everything about how you showed up was messy.
Complete mess. Because at 9, turning 10 years old is where little girls start to like the fact that, oh, he might be smart. Right? And so the fact that I was raising my hand in class actually got the attention of the girls, which then pissed off all the boys.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. To make matters worse, at home, almost everybody brought ridiculous food for lunch. Okay. And I'm going to call it ridiculous food because I hated it every single day back then, and I still hate it. Egg salad was a big thing. Egg salad sandwiches.
Trinidad egg
Yes.
salad was okay.
We used to take egg salad sandwiches for lunch all the time. Well, back then, not anymore. Eggs were cheap. Right.
Yeah, not anymore.
And so we get to this country, and my mother is sending me to school with egg salad sandwiches. Well, what does egg salad do? It stinks.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a classroom, right? And the other side of Trinidadian classrooms is it's all open air. There's no inside of a building, right? So now I'm inside of a classroom with a lunchbox that stinks. The kid who's raising his hand, that the little girls are like it. The boys hated me.
And you're getting shoved in lockers.
I'm getting shoved in lockers. Okay. I was tall, but I was scrawny at that point. 9 years old.
So if each of those messes is a cup, you're holding like 15 cups, right? And trying as young Atiba to walk around holding those 15 cups. And that's hard.
Trying to fit in. And now I left a society that I wasn't really understanding, dropped in a society that I don't understand at all. I don't know American history. I don't know American culture. I barely know my culture.
Yeah.
At 9. And so you're there and it's just this whirlwind and this cacophony of just blah. Like it was rough. Right. And I'm here with a single mother, with a sister who my mom used to, at that point, actually leave home before we woke up to go to work. And so now I'm taking care of my sister and getting my sister to school, all of this stuff as a 9-year-old.
How much younger was your sister?
She's 4 years, so she was 5. She was in kindergarten.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so dealing with all of this stuff. Now here's what's fun, and here's where life got really interesting. So into 10 years old, I started to grow into my body. I started actually doing push-ups and growing into my body and so on and so forth. And I went and tried out for the soccer team. Not only did I try out for the soccer team, we made the soccer team. We ended up going far. I ended up being one of the best players on the team. And just like a year and a half ago, I couldn't get picked.
Yeah, let me pause there. I mean, you said you grew into your body. So you had a year and a half from the time you're 9 to the time where you're last picked for a team. And now a year and a half later, you're not only picked, but you're excelling in that team. Now, do you think it was just the physical change or something else?
So for a long time, I just blamed it on the fact that, sorry, everybody, Americans sucked at soccer. We can tell the truth here, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
regardless of being 9 or now in my mid 40s, I cannot handle any ball extraneous to myself. Football, basketball, tennis. I have no coordination for that. So kudos to you.
and so that's why I thought I excelled. I thought the bottom of the barrel in Trinidad comes to the US and becomes great. That's what I believed for a lot of years about myself. And so I never actually gave myself the grace for the fact that I actually grew into myself and grew up.
Yeah. And what about the
Okay.
coaches or the teachers during this year and a half change? What did you have support or a mentor? I mean, your mom, maybe she's the one teaching you to do push-ups. You know, she
No,
obviously has a hard work ethic. What's influencing this? I mean, your mom sounds, and I don't know anything about her, but she's moved here. She's got 2 kids. She's a single mom. She's working hard. She has an amazing sense of duty, but she's gone before you wake up, and your brain is processing things from outside influences in this new society. So were there other people, maybe friends, maybe teachers, that looking back on it in that 9 to 10 and a half played a part?
yeah, so there were a couple things. So one, I did not care for being picked on by humans that I thought were, no offense to anyone at this age, lesser than me because they were physically superior than me. Okay. That bothered me. And so the workout, when you meet me now and you see this body is still a remnant of what that 9-year-old kid started doing, right? And the workouts and all of that came from that. Yeah, you ain't gonna push me around. Like you got away
Mm,
with that last year, and that's going to end. And
mm,
I understand that you're bigger, stronger than me.
mhm.
And so therefore, I'm going to prove to you you are no longer bigger, stronger than me, and I'm going to create distance between us where you're going to respect me.
Wow. For your age, that's an amazing, for being that young, to process that and have that determination and the sense of self, right? There are kids out there who, what is it as adults too? What are we tapping into in that moment? What is it that's giving you that grit, that determination? I
Yeah,
mean, maybe there's not an answer, but it's amazing.
I don't know what it was back then other than the embarrassment of being picked on.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there was another kid in our class, John Paul. And God bless him. I actually haven't seen him since elementary school, but John Paul in elementary school was over 200 pounds.
Mm.
Okay.
And I assume he
And
wasn't super tall.
he was tall, but not super.
Mhm.
Right. And, and so I did my workouts and pushed myself to get to the place where I used to have John Paul sit on my back and do push-ups
Wow.
because nobody else could, which then said to the bullies, yeah, you really want to test this?
That's
Okay.
awesome. I needed an Atiba friend in my life when I was little Suzannah at 9.
Well, so that happened. And then soccer was Coach Kavanaugh. And it's so funny, and I'm moving to the Philippines, and so one of the things that I ran into in this move was that year that we won the championship, the photos with Coach Kavanaugh. Um, and and yeah, at home it was recess. There was no coaches. It was that everybody got out and played soccer. At Here it was on a team with Coach Kavanaugh. Coach Kavanaugh believed. And Coach Kavanaugh gave me opportunity. And Coach Kavanaugh said it was good enough. I was good enough. Right. And yeah, not only was they put me in goal. Like, so it's not just that you touch the ball every now. I was the goalie. And I think for the entire season, there were only 3 goals scored on me in our championship season. Right. And so, yeah, he believed and he gave me that opportunity. He gave me the space and he helped me believe. There always are those people, as to your point, along the journey. About that time is when I left soccer and I went to football. And in football, I found absolute love. Absolute love. And my football career ended. I walked away from football. It's a very long story, but I walked away from football. I
And
had
after
great coaches.
college, was this college, high school? When did you walk away?
So I walked away in high school, and I should have gone to college and I did for football and I didn't.
Um,
Um, Lots of reasons, lots of messy beginnings there too.
mhm.
Um, and mostly I walked away for 2 reasons. One, I didn't have people around me who understood what I was going through and the fact that I was being recruited and what that really meant, to be able to help me through it. That was one. And then two, because I got offer letters, but nobody told me what it meant. I didn't know what it meant. Okay. And then two, I walked away because my junior year I got injured. And okay, this may make no sense to you, but I'm gonna share this with you because
I like this.
athletically.
I like this
Okay.
preface.
As a freshman in high school, I could bench 300 pounds and run a
Wow.
4.40.
Wow. That sounds impossible.
It is, but I did it and I did it easily. My head coach, before my freshman year, okay, so somewhere between 8th grade and 9th grade, my head coach said to me, son, you are my opportunity to finally have someone go to the NFL. I was that freaking good. I made the front page of the Washington Post. I had what it took, but I didn't have what it took in here to do it, to be completely honest. Physically, I had it. Mentally, I didn't. And I
And what does
didn't
it,
know that go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just going to say, what is it mentally that you needed to have?
And so this is the first lesson in comparison, the very, very first lesson in comparison. So I didn't understand what I was and what I was capable of on the football field. Okay. And I saw others and wanted to be them. And so my junior year, and I never told him this, and he's now passed away, unfortunately, so I'll never get the chance to tell him this. But there was another running back. I played running back on our team. There's another running back on the team, and he was good. He was. We were just about as fast as each other, but I was powerful and was fast and powerful. That was me. He could get in a hole and he would dance and he would move, and I was like, damn, yeah. I used to watch him and I'm like, yeah, he looks great, right? Man, I want to be that. I'll be good if I was that. And so I remember summer before my junior year where we have a scrimmage, and we have a scrimmage against Wheaton, if I remember correctly. I'm in, and now it's a scrimmage. I'm like, it's just a scrimmage. So I'm gonna try to do my thing. I'm gonna try to be like him and get in the hole and dance and shit. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. Right. So I did on one play. And when that play was over, one play in a scrimmage, it means nothing to anyone. My head coach grabs me, Coach Miller, and is yelling, "That's not your game. That's not what you play. Get off my field." He actually benched me. Coach Puglisi pulls me aside and he says, "Why are you trying to be something you're not? Be who you are." But I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And that's why I
I
said it
think,
was in here.
I mean, know yourself, right? That's one of the top 3 things you can do for yourself is to really know yourself. But the conundrum is,
It is.
well, one, when you're young, what does that mean? And then as we get older, like, I mean, my life's been about figuring out what I don't want to do. So what does that mean about who I am, right? And
Exactly.
yeah, it's complicated, very
It's
complicated.
extremely complicated. It's extremely complicated, and we don't know ourselves. And it's a struggle, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're 16, 26, 46, 56, right? This whole who am I question, what am I question that we exist with. And so I didn't know myself. I didn't know it. Now, what's hysterical is when I over the years since playing and meeting people who tell me about what it was like to play against me or play with me, then I'm getting a better picture of what I could have been that I couldn't even see back then.
Yeah.
That's part of the messy beginnings as well, because it's who do I listen to? Do I listen, that voice that's sitting on my shoulder that says, "Oh, you suck"? Or do I listen to that person over there who says I suck? Or that person over there who says I'm great? Who do I listen to? What's truth? What's truth? And I think that creates a lot of messy beginnings for a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
because we get in the beginning and there's all of this muck and there's all of this mire around us and we're trying to wash it off of ourselves and come out, but we don't even know where our body starts and where it ends in all of this. And so how do we get out and where are we going?
Yeah.
Right? Like what's the
Exactly.
destination?
Yeah, and somewhere in there too, I think probably you and I think the same. I'm a very stubborn person, which is part of why I wasn't gonna let being teased or feeling weak or less than, even if I was wrong, I said, I'm gonna go against this. I'm gonna prove those people wrong, right? And that's what I tapped into. But it's so hard to articulate and be able to share because there is so much mess and confusion around who am I? What is my purpose? What is my
Yeah.
passion? And I really believe all of our life is a journey towards that answer. And some people, through luck and timing and maybe their own brain chemistry, I don't know, these people who they know from the time they're 7 years old that they want to fly a plane. And they spend their lives studying to be a pilot. They become a pilot. They love doing it. And that's great. But I'm compelled from hearing other people's stories to think that that's the minority, that
Mhm.
that is not life for most people. And I'm so happy for those people who have that, but it is not that linear.
It
And
isn't.
we have a bunch of circles, and I don't know if my logo's on this recording, but you get a bunch of different kind of roller coaster rides as you progress. And even, for someone who maybe has a linear path, there's things beyond the job. Who is it? Is it Sahil Bloom? He has the 5 buckets of wealth. I don't know if you've heard of him. Social wealth, financial wealth, health wealth, time wealth, and there's one more. But there's so many ways of what does it mean to be true to yourself, and who are you, right? Who are you as a parent? Who are you as a professional? Who are you as a human being? It all depends where you are and where your head's at. We were just talking about the mess, and you were saying your coach said to you, you aren't being true to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Or to be
And,
you.
yeah. And so that was junior year was an interesting year of life because when I finally got back on the field, the game I got back on the field was also my last game ever playing football. Was having a great game. We were near the end of the game. We had already won the game. And on the second to last play of the game, I got hurt. And people were like, Coach, why is he still in the game? I got hurt, second to last play of the game. And I was walking through the halls a couple weeks later, and an individual whose name I won't call, we all have haters, right? And now we've grown up and we're no longer haters, but he yells out to me, so superstar, what are you going to do now that you can't play football anymore? And that was a defining moment because my entire life revolved around football and the pursuit of going to the NFL, which let's be honest, it's still a long shot, right? But at 16 years old, you don't know that. 16 years old, you don't know that. In that time, life became kind of dark. It became very dark.
And that was junior year. Or was that the end of
Yeah.
junior year?
No, beginning.
Middle. Because football
Beginning.
season's in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the beginning. Yeah, I was already in not a great headspace even before that. Most people would have called it depressed. I was suicidal before that. I just didn't understand where I fit or why I fit.
So before the injury, you're saying you were suicidal. And I'm trying to just reconcile, but you said playing football was when a light went off and you found your passion.
Football was great. Yeah.
So was there something else?
Football was great, and it was great to be on the field, and it was great to play, and it was all that was great, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And so I shared a story because it was true and it's what happened. I had reached a place in my life where I'd said, okay, this is it. It's done. Like, especially now with football being gone, it's done. Like, what the hell else is there? Like, I didn't want to be here in the first place. So this sucks. I don't fit in anywhere. Because by then, the other side of me by then is when I went back to Trinidad, they told me I don't belong in Trinidad because I'm an American now. And when I'm here, they tell me you don't belong here because you're an alien. Right. And so it just was awful. And so, yes, I found solace on the field, but still the field is what, 3 hours a week in high school, 8 weeks for the year. I had a whole year left. Right. And so I made a deal with myself. Here was the deal. The deal was you can commit suicide when you truly help one person. Because I kind of figured to myself, okay, if you're going to commit suicide, that's pretty darn selfish, and at least leave a mark on the world. Help one person. I made that deal with myself, and a week later, somebody came up to me and said, thank you. And I'm like, what are you thanking me for? He said, well, you had a conversation with me last week and you didn't know I was about to go commit suicide and you stopped me from committing suicide.
Wow.
And I'm like, I helped one person. Clearly, I didn't die. Um, and so I helped one person, and I'm like, okay, so now we can go. And then I said to myself, yeah, but that was too easy. Like, come on. A week later? Come on. All right, let's help somebody else. It can't be that easy. You just got lucky. Um, so that's going on while this whole thing of what are you going to do now, superstar? And I had to start evaluating what the hell is life going to look like now?
Yeah. And I want to pause because it's really hard to share, even though that was a long time ago for you. I really appreciate you exposing that vulnerability that happened to you, all of these things. And for people listening, part of this podcast is rooted in a theory. Some German researchers came up with the phrase, but it was inspired by Brene Brown. So I know Atiba wove in some of her ideas into his book, but it's called the beautiful mess effect. And it research backed effect that we see ourselves, our weaknesses, and our vulnerabilities as less than in our heads. But there's a weird phenomenon, a great one, that when we tell other people about that vulnerability, if it's a trusted person, not just anyone, I'm actually curious to hear from a social scientist on what those parameters are. But when you tell a trusted friend or group of people about that, they see you as stronger. They see that courage and that authenticity as making you
Real.
a more real person. So I just thank you for sharing all the things that you've been sharing. It's hard.
You're
And
welcome.
Atiba might make it sound easy. And, if I could be as great a speaker as Atiba, that would be a goal in my life. But, that is the part of this is what you do for a living, correct? Is
Yes.
sharing stories, inspiring other people, talking about leadership. And you've actually covered quite a few messy beginnings through talking about who Atiba was back as a kid and in high school. But I want to fast forward to more of the present and talk about, you've become somebody who empowers other people. You've become somebody who's focused on being healthy, being strong, right? Having that mind and body connection. And his decades of experience as an entrepreneur and a highly, not just high EQ, but EQ person have led him to do great things, including this book that I showed at the beginning of our meeting, The Delegation Trap. And there's a whole chapter about failure. And this book is geared, and Atiba, cut in any time if I'm wrong or misspeaking. But this book is geared toward leaders, people who are micromanaging, who are blaming, and I've seen this from my experience, everything but themselves for why their business isn't working the way that they want it to. And the book, this chapter on failure, I always take notes and highlight things. I wanted to go to this chapter. One of the things I wrote down from the book is failure isn't fatal, it's fuel. And that's a direct quote from Atiba in the book. And I think that speaks directly, from the story you shared about who you were growing up. Your fuel, you've been able to articulate that now, but that's what you were doing back then, right? You were
Yeah.
taking
And
those challenges and
yeah,
what you might have seen as failures, and that's what's propelling you forward.
it is. And I also want to be very, very clear. There have been failures that have knocked me down and knocked me out too. right? And so, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you, oh, every single failure, I just take it all in and I just bottle it and I become this great. That's also not reality. Like we're still human after all said and done. I went through a almost 10-year period of depression in my 30s, gained 120 pounds. Like seriously, okay? Ruined a ton of relationships around me because I was just depressed off of failure, okay? And so it isn't all pretty, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You might be sitting there right now, like I was in my 30s, and everything is crumbling and the world seems really dark all around you because of failures that you're living in. But the statement is so true that failure isn't failure, it's fuel. And so as long as you're still alive, you still have the opportunity to use it as fuel. So where I stand today, where I stand right now, my opportunity right now is because of using that depression in my 30s and that failure in my 30s as fuel right now. So even though back then, for almost a decade, it was a mess, even though back then I was broken, beaten in all senses of the word, it's when you start to get that clarity, right? And one of the things we talk about in the book as well is having that vision and knowing where you're going and being able to see that. And when you can see that and actually know where you're supposed to be, know that that's where I'm supposed to be, but this is where I am. That's where that failure becomes fuel because what
Mm-hmm.
you're going through right now actually is designed to help propel you into that thing.
And so you said it was about 10 years in, your 30s. So I want to help people listening, who are in those situations. I've been going through a tough time in my own life. And what is it that you would tell somebody in their 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s who thinks, "Hey, I'm too old. I've made too many mistakes. There's no hope. Like this is just how it is." What would you
Yeah,
say? What
fantastic.
would you say to that person who's listening?
Well, number one, I love the too old thing. That's beautiful, right? Too old for what? But we'll get to that in a moment. Um, let me walk you backwards, and hopefully this will help illuminate some things. On my 40th birthday, my mother said to me, "This is going to be the best decade of your life so far." About a year and a half later, I met someone named Qasim Aslam. And at that point, even though my mother had said that, I was about ready to quit and just like give up a lot. Like close the business, walk away, just give up. And Qasim meets me and is like, "Are you freaking kidding?" And he slapped me a few times, metaphorically, kicked me a few times, metaphorically, dragged me along for a while, metaphorically, until I was able to see what he saw. And so, yes, there is always that guide that comes into your life. You have to be willing, though. They're probably already there speaking into you. Okay. So that's what happened to me there at about 41, 42 ish when Custom showed up. All right. Now, before that, I'm in this. So the depression started in 32, 33, lasted till about 40. And I was depressed because, watch this, y'all. I was depressed because I had spent since I was 16, 17 years old trying to help people. Remember that story? Trying to
Mm-hmm.
help people and giving of myself and helping people, but then they wouldn't do anything with it. I'd spend all this time and energy trying to help you, and then you would drop the ball. And I felt like a failure. And that spiraled me into depression, like, then I'm worthless.
Can you give me an example of like what a time? We don't need names or anything, but just how you in this past where you helped someone and then that thing happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of them. Right? So I'm in business. Somebody may come to me and say, "Hey, I want to be in business too. Can you mentor me? Can you help me teach me stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, great." And I will pour into them, teach them, teach them, teach them, teach them, and they would do nothing. They would create nothing. They'd go away. Oh, never mind. Oh, it's the first obstacle. Oh, it's hard. I quit. just as an example. I mean, it could be any number of things. Like I was spending my entire life trying to find people with problems that I can help fix. And then when they didn't want to be fixed, I felt bad about myself. Yeah, it's not a good combination, but that's what started when I was 16, 17 years old and continued all the way till I was about 33, when I was just broken of that entire model and spiraled into depression of I'm worthless because I'm not doing anything. But then I learned in between 40 and about 42, 43 years old was the reality that it's my job to meet a Suzannah and have a conversation with a Suzannah, and Suzannah say, hey, I need help with this, and or how can I do this? And we say, hey, what about a podcast? Well, when would you start a podcast? And if you did it this way, that could really work. Suzannah can then just take that, and if Suzannah decides to move on and do something with it, that's her choice. But my job was just to share the information. My role was just to put it out there. I'm not judged, and I don't judge myself based on did Suzannah actually do the podcast with. Oh, should be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the role. That's not my role. And that was the thing. I was playing the wrong role. I was measuring myself wrong. And so here's the, let me bring it all home for you now. Let me bring it all home for you now. You see, the reality is in the failure that you're experiencing right now, I guarantee you a lot of that failure that you're experiencing right now is rooted in this statement that I'm about to make, which is a strength overused is a weakness.
Interesting.
So you have weaknesses showing up that are causing failure in your life right now. And it's actually because you have a strength that you're overusing in the wrong way. And you're measuring the outcome incorrectly. And so it's creating failure. That's exactly where I was. I had a massive strength that I was using incorrectly and measuring incorrectly that led me into depression.
Yeah. From my own perspective, I love helping people. It brings me joy, and it always will. And my strength, one of them, is around engaging people and connecting people. But, and tell me if I'm vibing with what you were saying, I could volunteer my life away, right? I could make zero money. Would I feel fulfilled? Yes. Would I be able to pay my bills? No. Would that help my daughter? No. Right? And so in the moment, I feel great. But when I think about the big picture, because I haven't harnessed my passion and my purpose properly, I'm not helping myself. And if I can't help myself, then I can't really help other people. Right? Is that
Right.
where in line with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that becomes a strength that's being overused. Now, in your circumstance there, it's being overused and it's still providing you some level of value because you're still feeling good. Right? Versus those people who are big givers and they give and then they feel used. Or they give and they feel depleted. They give and what they have around them are just takers who are just sucking out of them. It's a strength being used incorrectly.
Yeah, there's a line, right? And I'm sure there are probably social scientists, therapists, people who have hours and hours of podcasts and talks about it, right? But there's a line of helping other people and feeling good and helping other people and feeling depleted or being depleted.
Yes. But here's the thing. That's one example, right? You have a strength. You're listening to us. You've been listening to us. You have a strength. but you've been calling it a weakness for a very, very long time. Okay. And sometimes it's a matter of it shows up in ways that it's hard to quantify. And this is where having that other person, a coach, a guide, someone who can actually bounce things off and see things differently. Look, I am horrible with email and I'm horrible with calendars. And you say, well, that's your weakness. Well, okay, but my strength is the ability to see big vision, and that brings me too far down into the muck and mire of right now. Like, it's too detailed for me.
You're a visionary.
Okay. And so understand that you have every weakness that you feel that you have, that you perceive that you have, is actually reflected by a strength that also exists. And if you can find and focus on that strength, life begins to change. Doesn't mean the weakness is going to go away. It may never go away. I may never get good at emails and calendars. But I know I shouldn't play there.
So how did you, as an entrepreneur, and let's not, maybe it's not you, maybe just take a theoretical example, right? But let's say you're an entrepreneur who's a visionary like you, who's not good with the details and all that stuff, but you know the big picture and you know what's going to be successful. If you're an entrepreneur, you might not have the resources to hire a virtual assistant or outsource those things. How do you get over that hump so you can exponentially grow?
Yeah. So number one, there always is, unfortunately, a period where you gotta grin and bear it when you can't. Like, okay, I just got started. There isn't a client yet, and I don't have enough buffer. It doesn't make sense to hire an assistant just yet. And you may have to grin and bear it for a little while. But you're grinning and bearing it with the understanding that as soon as I can get out of this. And that's the mistake so many of us make. We don't get out of it. We stay in that place of weakness, and that then colors how we see the entire world. Because then we don't want to delegate, which is a whole nother story. Somebody wrote a book on that. I forget their name. Some guy. Yeah. Some guy. Wears a lot of Superman hats. I don't know. But there is a period that you may have to grin and bear it. Okay. But you grin and bear it with a plan of how quickly can you get out and focus on where your actual zone of genius is. And there's a big difference, Suzannah, when I'm going through something and I'm going to do something and I'm doing it knowing that this is not my strength, but it needs to get done. And my strength is over here, which is the mirror of it, but I got to do it so it can get done, versus I'm doing this because it has to get done and it's, oh my gosh, this is awful.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in the way we see and we feel and the emotion and the energy that we put into the task
How
or
you
the
frame
project
it.
or whatever it may be.
Right. Having the
Everything.
goal. People talk about vision boards. It's kind of the same. When you can see that goal, maybe you can look at a vision board if you do that thing. That helps you, right, in the hard times.
Everything is about how you frame it. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. So I got a text from my wife last night, and she said, I'm so frustrated. I'm up again late. I cannot go to sleep. This is awful. Now, I got that this morning when I woke up. And my response back to her was, I don't actually think it's awful. I think there's something that you need to birth that is inside of you right now that's trying to come out, and it's making space by giving you all of these hours in the day to do it. And you need to focus on that. There are always two sides of how you look at things.
Now I want to pause for a second because you had a phrase, zone of genius. I think that should be your next book. How to tap into your zone of genius.
Yeah, zone of genius is fun. And Zone of Genius is fun because it's one of those things that we all have, and so few of us know. And so few people love this statement that I'm about to make. Very few people love it. You were designed to be world class. Yeah, you were. You were designed to be world class. You see, and so many of us rail against something like that because, well, our entire lives we've been taught to regress to the mean and the average, and we're all just average, and everything's just the average. But you were designed to be world class. The other side of that, why we hate it, is because we look at people and we say, well, Oprah Winfrey or Elon Musk or this person or Gandhi, or they're world class. And that's not incorrect. They are. And you were designed to be world class.
Yeah,
You were designed to be world class. Now, it
I
doesn't mean
agree.
that you're going to grow to be one of them. That's not the point. That's not the
Now,
point.
as a human being, even in a silo, how you treat people, be world class in your actions. In the example you set,
Absolutely.
that's where my head's at when you're saying that. That
Absolutely.
the smallest gesture, right? You gave the example of the person, you talked to them and they came back a week later and they said, I didn't kill myself because of how you helped me, right? Because you've always been a world class actor in your life, right? And you don't,
And go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just going to say that that's where, when you say you were born to be world class, to the audience listening, to anyone listening, that's where my head is at. That the smallest gesture, one word, can make a positive impact.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe
That is
that's not what you
absolutely
meant.
true.
So
It is
maybe I'm wrong.
absolutely true. Both sides are true. And it's about being a world class person, and when that smallest gesture. So let me tell you, bring that forward a little bit here, because the pursuit of world class doesn't mean best in the world, and that's where people get screwed up, right? But it means that you are on a pursuit every single day to be the greatest version of yourself that you can be and
Yeah.
affect this world that you live
Yes.
in a way. And so your world might just be the 50 people that you see today. Guess what? To them, you could be Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey, whichever political side you want to be on.
Let's not
Right?
get political. I can't handle the
I'm
politics
not.
right now.
I'm not at all.
Okay.
I'm not at all. It's just a joke because you say Elon and people think political, but it's not.
Yeah.
But in your world, you're designed to be world class. However big your world is, you're
And
not
sometimes you don't
designed
know.
to be average.
No, but you don't know sometimes, right? You don't know that you saved that person's life. I mean, you know, in that example you gave, but you don't know how you appear to other people and how big your sphere of influence may be.
Never know who's watching,
Right.
ever. You never know who's watching. And so, yes, be world class in every moment that you can.
I agree. And we're way over our time. I did have a couple of lightning round questions that I wanted
Let's do
to
it.
ask you. My first one is, what is one failure that still makes you laugh?
1997, me and a couple of, I think six actually, me and a couple of friends built a search engine. We had a search engine online before Google did, and then we sold it in 1997 for $2,500.
Is that I don't know what kind of laughing that is, but
Not all the
that's,
way to the bank. That's the kind of
yeah,
laughing.
no, not laughing to the bank. Okay. What is a failure that you fear right now?
But that's a good one. So right now, life is about legacy for me. Our agency is doing and creating a platform that is going to help change the way medicine exists in this country in its sphere. My book and what we're doing with leadership is going to change the way small business leaders lead. And so my fear right now is, am I doing enough to actually make this legacy like happen? Like, yeah, we're at that
The legacy
precipice.
in what sense? Or maybe it's multiple senses. Legacy of your impact to make the world a better place, the impact of your businesses to exponentially grow. That legacy, is it all of them? Something else?
It's the impact to make um, the world a better place, and it's the same thing. Look, we are who we are as humans, and when I was 16, I couldn't see the football player that I was, and I learned that, and been trying my whole life to learn to understand who I am and understand what I can bring. I'm still there. We're still trying to figure that out, and so I have an idea right now, but I feel like my idea isn't, the vision and the idea, are they actually equal? Is there more? Am I missing something? And that's part of it. But in the meantime, I'm gonna keep moving.
Yeah. So very sage advice from Atiba to keep moving forward, be a world class person in how you act, and embrace the mess. Thank you. Thank you so much, Atiba. It's really an honor to have you share your story and your message and your wisdom on this show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having the honor, honestly, to be the first episode in what's going to be an absolutely beautiful series. It's going to help so many people. And I look forward to years from now saying, I was on that show.
Well, that's my goal, to help people, and that's my virtual vision board, right? As I do things like try to figure out, I don't know, AI tools to make this better, and there's a lot of work to be put into it. But yeah, if you're listening, tell other people if you think what we talked about today can help them or someone they know. If you have folks who would be a great guest for the show, to talk about a messy beginning of their own and share their vulnerability, and their wisdom with the audience, we'd love to have them. Real quick, Atiba, what is the name of your agency? Because I think I want to go check it out and see what you're up to on the business side.
Client Attraction Pros. That's our marketing agency that works with medical professionals.
And what's something you really want for client attraction pros? Like if someone's listening who could really help you in that business, who's that person?
Yeah, someone who is working with or knows um, the doctors who are sick and tired of the insurance rat race and are looking for a better way, but still want to do medicine, right? We're not helping doctors leave medicine like so many other people are doing today. They wanted to be doctors, but let's help them be the doctors they wanted to be. So anybody who knows, works with those types of doctors would love to have a conversation.
Great. Awesome. So if you're one of those people or know some of those people, I have a website, messybeginnings.com. You can contact me through there. You can go, is it clientattractionpros.com? Find Atiba. He's all over the internet. He has great SEO. But thanks again. I'm going to stop recording. And that concludes our first episode of Messy Beginnings. The conversation really hit on what Messy Beginnings is all about: courage, honesty, and the slow, beautiful work of becoming. I hope something in today's episode reminded you that even in our messiest moments, there's still space for growth, purpose, and connection. That in your world, you are designed to be world class. That failure is fuel, that your zone of genius exists, and that a strength overused can become a weakness. Before we close, I want to thank the incredible team that helps make Messy Beginnings possible. First, Refraction Innovation Hub, our recording home but a home that's truly so much more. For over a decade, this award-winning nonprofit has provided authentic, caring, and customized support to high-growth technology startups and scale-ups across Virginia, Maryland, and DC, accelerating innovation every step of the way. You can learn more at refraction.one. Big thanks also to Donovan Carmichael, our AV and IT specialist, whose care and time keep production running smoothly, and Michael Barbine of Barbine Worldwide, our technical director, who keeps our tech stack humming like it actually enjoys the workload. And of course, to our episode sponsor, Eartha Pro, the easy-to-use back-office solution helping professional gardeners and lawn care crews save time, stay organized, and grow their businesses. You can check them out at earthapro.com. They also offer white label solutions for almost any small business. And finally, a heartfelt shout out to this week's featured Patreon member, Curtis Dent of Insperity, helping business leaders reduce liability and grow their teams with confidence. Curtis, thank you for believing in this project and for helping us nurture this growing community. To learn more about our guests, supporters, becoming a Patreon member, or how to join the Messy Beginnings community, visit messybeginnings.com. It might take me a few days from launching this to get all that info on there, but it will be there. And if you loved what you heard today, share it with someone who might need a reminder that the messy can lead to the beautiful. It's all part of being human. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, keep embracing your own beautiful mess.